armature making, you know, getting a film package, getting some place to shoot, you know, planning out what we're going to do, shooting it, getting it telecinied, getting it edited, getting it sent out. Yeah.
Well, you've been together for 17 years. What keeps driving you all?
Compromise.
Yeah, each other, I guess. You know.
Splitting everything 4 ways.
Enema was dedicated to Bill Hicks, a stand-up comedy artist and close friend of the band who passed away in 1994. Tool sampled a Hicks routine in their song Third Eye.
Real fucking high on drugs.
Prying open my third eye. Prying open my third eye. Prying open my third eye.
If you know anything about Tool, you know not only do they not appear in their videos, they don't like press interviews that much, and they rarely ever go on TV, if never.
We've never done performances on television or like live radio performances.
Can you explain us the concept behind it, that you do not get filmed?
Well, we'd rather the people come see us live and experience us live with, you know, 2 eyes instead of looking at something that's, you know, mono, you know, and I don't know, it's never been a good experience for us, and we're control freaks, and we really like to make sure it's presented in the right way.
Our music isn't necessarily something that you just put on and tap your foot to. It's definitely more of an interactive process. So right away, the entire fan base that we've developed over the last 10 years, it's been those kind of people and kind of spread out from there. So we set the precedent initially. It wasn't about jumping up and down to some catchy phrase. It was about connecting with the music, listening, and respecting these people as artists, and listening with an artist's ears. So, I would say the majority of our crowd they're artists in their own way. So they have respect for what we do. They're very forgiving. They listen with their hearts rather than just show up like cattle.
Tool's last full-length studio album came out 5 years ago, went to #2 in the Billboard charts, and also sold 2 million copies. So when 5 years have passed and you've had that kind of success, everyone knows what Maynard was doing with A Perfect Circle. What were the other 3 members of Tool up to? You toured for about 2 years, then had 3 years off doing what?
Fighting with the record company.
2 legal battles began that interfered with the band working on a new release, and also dismissed their longtime manager, Ted Gardner. Maynard James Keenan joins a new side project with Billy Howardale, Tool's guitar tech and Maynard's roommate, creating A Perfect Circle.
I needed a short break. I started working with my roommate Billy Howardale on A Perfect Circle, and that took off way more than we thought it was going to take off. So you kind of have to give it its due. So we just kind of used that as our break, and that was only for like 9 months or a year. So the actual break that we took was when I was off with Perfect Circle.
I think he had a lot of creative energy that he needed to expand, and they were at the time legally prevented from or prohibited from doing or releasing any recordings.
Was there any sense of possessiveness on the part of the boys from Tool when you were going out there, like a worry that you weren't going to come back?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They won't admit it, but yeah, definitely. There's a paranoia.
Along with Maynard doing his Perfect Circle thing, we had a lot of other business things going on at the same time that were kind of a drag, and we had to grow a lot as individuals and grow together, keep our relationship strong just to survive, keep our community together, we're tight within ourselves. So it's kind of hard to separate that event from all the other things that were going on at the same time. We still felt like a band through the whole thing.
We get so involved in these lawsuits and record company stuff that you forget, why you're here. And so when we get back into the room and just start playing music, you go, oh yeah, that's what I was doing here. That's why, that's what we do.
A lot of people at the time said, oh, this is the harbinger of the end of Tool and everything. Well, we found that's not true. You have to remember that they had gone through an extraordinarily stressful time in between those two records.
It was kind of hard to keep being creative, yeah, it kind of grated a bit. And we had to kind of get through that a little bit before we could really get back to, you know, the creative process.
In May of 2001, Tool continued working with producer David Bottrill and recorded Lateralis. This album became a worldwide success, reaching #1 in the US Billboard 200 albums chart in its debut week.
There's a lot of anticipation, as you would expect, to their new album coming out. How do you pronounce the title of this new LP? How do you say it? Lateralis, is that right?
Lateralis.
Lateralis, right,
Yeah.
okay, so that's how it's pronounced.
They were just better at doing the things that they were working on. I think their writing was a little bit more exploratory. I think they were, again, pushing the boundaries of where they could go in the style that they were working on. I think it was kind of the pinnacle of where they were going along that path.
The songs, the way we write them, they get to a certain point and then they sort of just take on a life of their own, and we just try to be true to that and let them develop the way they need to develop. You know, there's never too much forethought put into each one individually. You know, we're in a fortunate position where we can let things run their course and we don't have to worry about, you know, selling, you know, singles or anything like that. We're an album band.
Everybody pretty much has been writing commercials for the last, you know, few years, and it's understandable. There hasn't been a lot happening in the last 4 or 5 years that, you know, these kind of no talent people kind of showed up, filled in the spaces pretty much. So hopefully the public isn't so far gone.
We're hoping to scoop in as many new people as we can and hope they'll embrace it, but you never know what's going to happen until it gets out there and we get the response.
And people are still interested because it is promising to be different, you know, and that's what we've been trying to do while creating it.
There's a large percentage of people that are still really frustrated by how disposable a lot of art and music has become, and they're really hungry for something they can sink their teeth into again, you know. But I think a lot of time those people, you know, because they're somewhat maybe of a minority, that their voice isn't heard, and a lot of time they aren't stupid enough just to go out and blab all over in the places where they would be heard, you know. That I know the response has been incredible for our band, you know, just the anticipation of this record, it's enough to let us know that we're still doing the right thing, staying true to ourselves. I think it'll work out fine.
The concept behind the artwork of Lateralis was developed by Adam Jones and the visionary artist Alex Gray, who illustrate the different anatomy layers of the human body. Adam and Alex meet in 1999, and no one would have known that this was the beginning of a new creative relationship that would last till today. Alex started to work with the band during that period and was involved in future album covers and video clips.
Well, in the Lateralis album, really Adam and I was early on in our relationship, but we had met, I think, in '99. Adam started talking about the concept of the multi-layered acetate thing. And it was something that I had always wanted to explore and do as a, you know, because of anatomy layers. I had only gotten some lyrics from Maynard as far as the content of what the album was going to be. And I didn't hear any of the actual music, you know, until the record was released. And then I had no idea at all what would happen. You know, that both Tool, like, grabbed that as a symbol, and then it immediately became like tattoos all over the world.
The album became a worldwide success, and Tool received their second Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance in 2001 for the song Schism. Ending their tour in November 2002 seems to be a signal for the start of another hiatus of the band. Maynard starts recording and touring with A Perfect Circle. Meanwhile, Danny, Justin, and Adam start to work on new material with the help of producer Joe Barresi. 10,000 Days was released in May 2006, selling 564,000 copies in its first week.
How was it for you after 5 years of making a new record now? Was it a difficult record to make?
Always.
Yeah? In what way?
Because we're older and more grumpy.
I think 10,000 Days is a gain of growth. It's a step in a direction, and there's great songwriting on there. There's great singing. Maynard's voice is sounding better than ever. I think it's a great growth. I think it's another step along the way of their creativity as a band.
To me, it was like really high tech and kind of garage at the same time, and I really like that, you know.
Yeah, we've just over the years of making records, we've learned something, you know, every time, so it's great. That adds to the high-tech part. I mean, we get more and more sophisticated in the recording techniques. We pretty much have our way we do things, and we just get better at it. You know, since the first Opiate EP or whatever, we've pretty much done the same thing, and that's just be true to our chemistry in the room, and it'll be true to us.
Something we're really into, just to try to tap into people's subconscious. You know, you break things down to the most basic ideas or elements, you know, just to a sound or a shape or a color or a vibration, you know, and then build it back up. That base thing gets the subconscious, and you get the subconscious of someone who knows nothing about it, so they kind of, you know, relate to that feeling of what, you know, we were going through when we were writing.
We have a comfortable working relationship, the whole band does. It's why we're able to create the music we do. It's a pleasure, you know. I always look forward to working on stuff after we've been out touring. You know, it's great to write new music, you know, but when we're out, or when we're in there writing it and working on it, then I always look forward to getting out and trying it out live on people. You know, it's kind of grass is always greener scenario. You know, so.
10,000 Days receives the Grammy Award for Best Recording Package. The album includes stereoscopic lenses to view the album art in 3D and was developed by the artist Alex Gray.
In the 10,000 Days album, we went back and forth a little bit. He had the idea of the stereoptoscope and the 3D. Then I said, well, why don't I just show you what I'm working on right now in the studio? And that was the Net of Being painting. We both imagined seeing it in 3D and stuff like that. And so he said, that's it, you know, got to use that somehow.
Alex's art really kind of like, we're like, oh man, because he explores that, what's different about everyone, what's the same about everyone, what are the different spiritualities, what are the different, you know, that's to me what sacred geometry is, you know, it's what are those things in nature are harmonious, and why are they harmonious, and what do we have in common?